Hello, thank you for watching my channel today. My name's Sarah and my channel is called Your Tree Shelf. Today I'm doing a Friday Reads again. Again, it's not Friday, but doesn't matter. I don't know what day this will be edited and be posted, so it could be Friday by the time that it goes up, but it's currently Tuesday. So I haven't had a chance to post for a couple of weeks because life's been tricky. I'm currently in the middle of having to make a very, very big life decision, and it's caused me quite a lot of stress, worry, difficulty, and because of all of that, I haven't had the brain space to really film, but I feel like things are getting a bit easier for me in that front, and therefore I decided to film. And I've also got this week off, which I desperately needed, because having all of the difficulty I've been having with this decision, plus working a very, very busy job, has been a bit much to cope with. So I'm really, really glad that I have this week off and a bit of downtime. And so I wanted to come and talk to you guys. So leading on from there, because I've been in a more state of turmoil than I am normally, then reading has kind of seemed stressful at times, and I hate it when that happens, because reading is a hobby that's fun and it's for joy, and when it becomes a pressure, then it's just you've lost the purpose of why you're supposed to be reading. And I found a couple of things that have really helped with that. So first of all, Jack from Spread Book Joy made this really, really good video. Said it was called something along the lines of why trying to read more books made me miserable, and she talks about reading slowly and purposefully rather than reading under pressure and reading to deadlines and reading thinking how quickly can I read this thing so I can get on to the next thing. And her video was really good and I took a lot from it, and I think it's a really good reminder for us to have people telling us like to actually remember that this isn't our job, this is our hobby, this is fun, and it shouldn't feel like work, and we shouldn't be missing the experience of what we're reading now thinking about what we're going to read next. So I'd really recommend that video, and I'll link it in the comments down below. And the other channel that I've discovered fairly recently is Thomas Howell's channel, which I'll also link down below. He makes such mindful videos. He makes videos about reading, but his videos are so relaxing. He makes films for his job, so he makes them really beautifully, but he also just speaks quite reverently about the topics that he's discussing and the books he's discussing, and he's all about like doing it at your own pace and not counting books and just really like immersing yourself and enjoying the experience that you're having, and taking your time. And I think that it's really, in a world where a lot of booktube is about how many books I've bought, how many books I've read, all the challenges I'm taking part in, and I'm as guilty of that as anybody else, then it's really nice to find some slower videos and channels that you can think, yeah, actually I need to just so that's been really nice. So thank you to Jack and Thomas for those things which have helped me. I'm just going to tell you what I have read since I checked in with you in my last Friday Reads video, and what I'm reading at the moment and plans. So I have hauled no books. I'm proud of myself that I've hauled no books in the last few weeks, which is really good. So what I've read so far, the first book, I spoke about this book last time, but I've finished it now, and that is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. So as I mentioned before, this is a lit RPG book, so it's a book version of a video game. It is one of the most fun books I've read in such a long time. I listened to the audio, which is narrated by Jeff Hayes, who is an incredible audio narrator. Really, really good. And I'd heard so many people say this book is amazing on audio, which is why I chose to listen to it on audio. And I spoke about what it was about before, but essentially the world has turned into a series of levels. You have all of the kind of normal video game things where you've got bosses, power-ups, you have to learn like the magic system, spells, you have to survive in these conditions, you have safe rooms, you have mentors. There's loads and loads of people who are playing against you, so it's just like a video game, but he makes it extremely funny. And I think it's so hard to get comedy right in a book. I think that it's really easy for you to think, yeah, I can see that that's kind of amusing, and you kind of might smile a little bit, but he actually makes you laugh out loud, and with the things he says, it's just so funny. And I find that sometimes reading a book which is pure entertaining joy is just what you need. And I was doing, while I read this, I was listening to this, I was doing like some puzzles, because I find that when I'm in a bad or difficult headspace, puzzles really help. And doing puzzles, listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl was just really, really good. And I watched a video interview. So Smitty, whose channel I'll also link below, interviewed Matt Dinniman, the author, for about an hour and put it on YouTube. And Matt Dinniman was such a lovely guy. The interview was really, really good, and it was such a lovely like success story of how his books have become so successful when he was really just writing them for his own entertainment. And now he's got like TV rights on the books and everything. So yes, it was a joy to read that book. Then I read A Library Reservation, which came in, which has now gone back to the library. I went through this little phase of reserving things from the library again, and I think that's added to my kind of stress, because I had plans of what I was doing, and then a library book or 2 or 3 would all come in at once, which was difficult. So I just finished Small Bomb at Dimperley by Lissa Evans. This book had a really long waiting list. I think I reserved it in like before Christmas, I think. It's a story of the Verthisset family, who are a titled family who have been living in this English country house called Dimperley for hundreds of years. And Dimperley is a real like hodgepodge of different styles of houses where people have built onto it, added wings, added domes, added all different things. So it looks very unusual. It's falling to pieces. They have no money because of all like death duties and stuff like that. And we're following our main character, whose older brother has been killed in World War II. He's then coming home from World War II, and he has inherited the title of baronet. And he's now the person who has to stay at Dimperley, has to find a wife, has to produce heirs. He doesn't really want to do any of that stuff, and he really feels like it's a weight around his neck to have to do these things. His family live there, so his mum lives there, she's very fierce. His sister-in-law and his 2 nieces live there. And there's a lady who, in the war, the house got turned into a maternity home, and one of the guests is still there because she's stayed on as the uncle's secretary, because he's writing a history of the family and she's helping him do that. So that's kind of set up. It's a meandering, gentle story, and to be honest, it was fine. It wasn't anything sensational for me. I think that it's one that I'll kind of forget most of the plot of what happens quite soon after reading it. So I would say it was just a sort of a 3-star for me. It was, like I say, it was fine, but I don't really know why I had such a long waiting list at the library. So yeah, that I wouldn't go in and seek out more of her work personally. And then the last book that I read was this one, When I Hit You by Mena Kandasamy. So this was listed for the Women's Prize many years ago. I'd say 2017 maybe. Let me see. 2018. And I bought it at the time and hadn't read it until now. It's a novel about domestic abuse, and I find that is a topic that I have to be aware of at work. And like I said previously, someone very close to me has been affected by that as well. And I listened to this on Libby because I was trying to decide on my next audiobook after Dungeon Crawler Carl. What a contrast. And this was quite a short audiobook, and I just thought, well, this has been on my TBR for years, it would be good to read it. I think it wasn't the right time for me to read this book because of everything I've talked about already, and it was very dark in theme, which obviously, because it's about domestic abuse, but this book wasn't really my sort of style that I like reading. I like getting to know my characters, and I want my characters to stay here, and I want to really care about them and root for them and I want to just feel like I really know them and that I would miss them after a book's finished. And this book, this is not the kind of thing that happens in this book. So our protagonist has entered into a relationship which turns out to be abusive. There's a lot of graphic abuse scenes in here, which are very, very hard to read. And she's from India, and her family really don't want her to get divorced, and so her family try to tell her everything will be okay and she should try and wait it out in this marriage. And I never got to know the character. I got to know what happened to her. I didn't get to know her. And so therefore, this book was never going to be a book that I loved. I really don't like it when I know the events that are happening, but I don't know the people that they're happening to. Well, I can't tell you anything about her backstory, really. I can't tell you anything about her likes and dislikes. I don't feel like I knew her at all. And because of that, I couldn't get into this book. I feel that it has a very important message. I feel like it will be very educational and very much what some people need to read. If they've gone through something like this, they may feel it's immensely helpful for them, or if they're going through something like this. But for me, it wasn't my kind of book, and so I didn't enjoy reading it. And that's no disrespect to the author, because it has loads of 5-star reviews. It's just not my thing. So on to my current reads. I'm still reading, this is just the dust jacket, the book's downstairs. I'm still reading 13 Means by Charles Frazier, which was my TBR spin pick for March, so it's now April. This was picked on the basis of being a cover buy. This book, I feel a bit sorry for this book because I've had to keep putting it down for different reasons, and now I'm back and I've got about 70 pages left, so I've nearly finished it. It's a very slow read because it's very beautifully written, so a page might take me 2 minutes to read. It's following Will Cooper, a gentleman here we're meeting towards the end of his life in the opening few pages, and then we go back to his childhood, and it's about his time as he goes and works in a trading post when he's a child, about 12, and this is on sort of Cherokee territory, and he becomes so in the Cherokee people's community, which are in this book, if you are kind of adopted by them, they can consider you Cherokee, even though you're not of Cherokee blood. And so he's considered Cherokee by them in this book, and he lives and loves the Cherokee community. And then there's all of this political stuff going on where obviously the government are trying to force all of the Indigenous people from their own land, force them west, trying to get them to move into a new area so they can sell all the land at a huge profit. Disgusting. We all know how appalling the history is there. And Will is trying to fight this. He's actually studying, he loves books, and he's studying law, and he's basically befriending important people in government and actually trying to become part of the government in order that he can fight for the people and the land. And it's interesting reading about that. But the main love in here is the land. We can see the landscape. So this kind of mountainous, beautiful, wild land. And it's about the land and the horses and the people's small everyday actions as much as it is the overarching theme of displacement and land being stolen from people. And so it's very slow but very beautiful. There are times in here where especially around the political things, where he's kind of trying to get into these places of high power, I thought this could just kind of move along a little bit quicker, because I like the bits where he's living out in the wild with his family and camping under the stars every night. I like all those bits more than I like the bits about where he was drinking with who and why. But this book is very beautiful, the writing's stunning, and I'm due to finish it any day now, because like I said, I've been reading it for much too long, which is not the book's fault, it's my fault for having other things like library books coming in. So that's the only book that I'm reading in paper form at the moment. I'm listening to 2 audiobooks. So the first audiobook I'm listening to, which I really love, is Maame by Jessica George. I got this on audio a really long time ago and I really fancied listening to it. It's really good. It's about Maddie, who's also known by her mum as Maame. Her mum is from Uganda and Maame is British Ugandan, and she is a carer for her dad who has Parkinson's. She lives with her dad on her own. Her mum comes and goes to Ghana and back, and she'll spend about a year at a time in Ghana. Her brother's moved out. So it's just her and her she's 25 and she's very much missed out on lots of normal experiences that young people have because she couldn't leave her dad. So she hasn't ever gone on dates. She hasn't ever had a boyfriend. She doesn't really do much socially with her friends because she has to come back and make sure her dad has medication, his dinner, that she helps him get to bed. And she's a young carer. And then her mum comes back from Uganda and says, I'm staying for a year. I want you to go and move out and start living your life. And she's a bit worried because she's not sure if her mum's going to be that reliable looking after her dad. And she's now on this sort of journey of self-discovery. She's moving out. She's got housemates for the first time. She's thinking about, what clothes do I like to wear? What kind of things do I like to do when I go out? Like, who do I want to date? I've no idea. She's trying to find her way in the world of work. So she's always been working, but she gets completely screwed over at work and ends up losing her job. So she has to find another job, and she finds a job with a non-fiction publisher. So she's sort of thinking of ideas and trying to find her feet in this new company. And it reminds me quite a bit of Queenie. So I think if you like Queenie by Candice Carter-Williams, you would like this. It's a fantastic book. I'm really loving getting to know Maame and her journey. I really love a book with a journey. And I'm about 2/3 of the way through the audiobook at the moment. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how her life develops. So there has been some difficult things in this book as well. It's not fluffy, this book, but it's very engaging, and it's one where I have got to know Maame. I am rooting for her. I want to know what happens to her, which is what I want in a book. Then I am re-listening to The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. This is a book which I loved and adored. So I read this book a while ago. This is one of the first videos I made on YouTube. Don't go back and watch it though necessarily, because it might be terrible. I read this book, The Untethered Soul by him, and you can see the tabs are so messy. I think I'd never seen people do neat tabs before, but like so many tabs, so much underlining. This book was absolutely amazing. So I listened to The Surrender Experiment by him couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and because of everything that's been going on in my mind, I figured that it would be a really good time to go back to that book because it gives you so much peace. It gave me so much peace, and it's a spiritual book about his journey from the 70s when he became like super into meditation, and about how surrendering has given him so much peace in his life. He basically says, like, I've heard him say this in other places too, this earth has been here for billions of years. We're a planet that revolves around a star once a year, and yet we feel that we should, despite the fact that Earth has been surviving for that long and everything that happens on the Earth without our intervention happens, we feel like we have to be able to control everything, and that's actually kind of a ridiculous concept to think about. Even things like the weather, we feel like we need to control which days it rains, which days it's sunny because of our plans, and how much just stress we get from this feeling of I have to control everything in my life. And then when things go a different way, you kind of grieve for what you wanted to happen, and it's much more about acceptance. And if you can have that acceptance with what's happening, how much more peaceful your life is. And so yeah, that's kind of how I would describe it. And it's about his own journey through 40 years or so it's not a long book, and he reads it himself, which is really nice. He has a really nice voice. So yeah, I'm re-listening to that, and that will count towards Ben's reading challenge as well, because in May the prompt is to reread a book. So I'm using this for that prompt, even though it's April, because I'm behind on this prompt. So yes, that's all that I'm listening to. As I said, I haven't hauled anything, so I'll just talk about my sort of plans coming up, what I'm planning on doing next. So I have book club next month, so the book club will be the first Sunday of May, and the book, this was my choice, the book is Stoner by John Williams. This is one of the books I've had for the longest on my shelves out of all of my books, and I've wanted to read it for a really long time. I remember this book was written quite a long time ago, but it had this big resurgence on booktube, and just when I first started booktube, I think, and that's when I bought it. And I feel like I read and loved last year Crossing to Safety by Wallace Stegner, and it's kind of like a older male American novelist, and I feel this might be this similar sort of thing. I know it's about a college professor called William Stoner, and I don't really want to read all the blurb because I don't want to spoil what happens, but I feel like it's going to be quite a slow, quiet American novel, and I'm up for that, which is good because I'll be reading it. So, and it's not that long. It was first written in 1965. So I kind of like that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that one. Then the rest of it is really just reading challenge catch-ups and a buddy read. So as you all know, for 9 months or so now, I've been reading the Boudica series with Aaron. And this is the last book in the series. This is Dreaming the Serpent Spear, which is book 4 of 4. Aaron and I have had the best time reading this series, and I will miss these characters so much when I say goodbye to them because we've read, I reckon, 3,000-ish pages of these characters now, and we've discussed them a lot. So because of that, it kind of, I think, cements a book with you even more when you buddy read it with someone. So we're going to start this soon. Then my TBR spin book for April was to pick the book from my stack which has the most hype. And so I am so happy to have a reason to read this, because this is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I am one of the only people in the world who has not read Robin Hobb, and everybody loves this series. So there's an overarching 16-book series, but with trilogies and a quartet as part of this. This is the first book of the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy in the overarching series. And I know we follow a young boy called Fitz. I don't know hugely more than that, and I don't want to. I know that this is so beloved by anybody who likes reading fantasy, and everybody says that Robin Hobb is an incredible author and writer, and I am so excited to start this. This is quite small, this book, but some of them are like huge chunkers, and I haven't bought more than the first one. I'm just going to buy them as I read them, but I'm very excited to start this. So this is my April spin, and I will be starting this soon. And then other things I want to read soon. So Ben's Read Good Challenge, which I do. This is the second year he's run it, and I'm doing it as well. I have got ahead in some prompts and behind in others, but the next prompt that I need to get to is a book with fire on the cover or flames on the cover, and Iron Flame is one that I've wanted to get to for a long time, because I read Fourth Wing last year, I think it was, and this is book 2, and then book 3 is already out, so I'm excited to read this, and I know this will be like a fun and easy fantasy book. And then the other prompt for Ben's challenge that I'm behind for, the March prompt, was to read a book with 15 letters in the title. I have quite a lot of choices for this, so this may change depending what I'm in the mood for, but I might read Seven Sisters by Margaret Drabble. So I saw her at UEA. The receipt is still in the book, so I know that I bought this in 2014 when I saw her at UEA at University of East Anglia talking at a book event, and I liked the sound of this book and bought it, and it's sat there for now 11 years, which is really terrible. So this is about a woman called Candida. Is not the best name, but anyhow, she has been ignored by her husband and children for years. Her husband then has an affair with a younger woman, and she decides to go it alone. So she's moved to London. She's divorced, she hasn't got much money, and she's making a new life for herself. And then it says she gets an unexpected windfall, gathers together 6 friends, and decides to go travelling. So this was written, again, quite a while ago. This was written in 2002. I thought it was longer ago than that because it's called a modern classic. But yeah, 2002. It is signed by the author, and it's quite a slim book. I read the first paragraph this morning and thought, oh yes, I think I'd like this. So yeah, that's my plan for 15 letters, but we'll see, things change. So yeah, that's my little stack that I'm planning on getting to next. But low stakes, low pressure, because, you know, as we've just talked about. And I'd really love to know what you guys have been reading and what your plans are, if you're taking part in anything. If you decide that you also need to slow down and go for the slower channels and the slower videos, and yeah, if you decide to pick up any of these books as a result of me talking about them, that would also be good to know. And I hope you're all really well. I hope you have a great week, and I'll speak to you all soon.